Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, this is Boisterous, coming to you with some Diamond League destruction out of the map Belshir Vestige. Spawning up here in the top of the left-hand corner, we do have Geo as the red Zerg player. Down here in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent OnDa's Rag as the blue Protoss player. And I'd just like to point out that Geo is actually going for the Fun Day Monday challenge from either this week or like last week. I don't know. I don't actually know what week it's from, but it's the one where you have to be, as a Zerg player, expand 4 times before taking your spawning pool. So basically, he's gonna get cheesed to death unless Rag is bad at this game. And considering the fact that Rag is in Diamond League, things aren't looking so great for Geo. Now, of course, he does have the point that Rag is actually going to be going for a Forge Fast Expand at this point, which is going to help out Geo quite a bit because he's only going to have drones. You can't actually even build a Spine Crawler until you have the spawning pool done. Or a Spore Crawler. You will literally just have drones to defend yourself. You can build evolution chambers, so you can just make a giant wall of evolution chambers and then just use the broodlings to defend yourself and buy time for yourself. But that's basically it. We have Geo now sending his drone out, and it's going to be going way across the map in an awkward... is this an awkward thing for Belshir Vestige? I'm actually not sure what the standard path they take is. I guess it is the standard path. Huh. Oh well. The pathing on Belshir Vestige is weird because this map is oddly created with these rocks at the center. It does look like we are not actually going to have Rag planting down a proxy pylon at the natural to block it. So he's going to be nice and mannered. He will be having his Forge down before his Nexus, which is an interesting choice against the Zerg player. Usually, Protoss players don't really need to do that anymore. Usually, they just go straight for the Nexus, and then build up the wall. But on Belshir Vestige, I can see why you would want to do that, because this is a pretty massive gap. It's not really something you can plant a gateway and then a pylon and then hold a position on a probe to block it off from. But it looks like we are going to have the slight cannon rush coming out from Rag, which is going to be interesting because that's really not what Rag wants to be doing at this point. Especially because it's just going to let Geo go for very economically based builds. I mean, he can just, use these 4 drones to stop any sort of photon cannons from coming down. And there we have the cancel going off. Ooh, the drone almost gets sniped there. Oh my god. Did he? Rag, did you really just let that happen, man? Did you really just let that happen? If I had my webcam on, this would be the point where I would like cut away to myself just looking sad. Man, that was Rag. Come on, man. Come on. You had a reasonably good way to get pressure down there. And Geo's going to be moving out for his 4th expansion at this point. Oh, it's not even expand, it's hatches. Oh, he's using his 4th hatch to be a macro hatch. Geo, what a man. That's genius. I'm not sure if that's actually against the rules, but I'm just gonna say it's not, because I think the wording was 4 hatches before your spawning pool, not 4 expansions. Very smart, Geo. So we are going to have his spawning pool now coming down, and he's going to have quite the economic lead on Rag, because honestly, he's going to have like 3 bases finished at about the same time that Rag finishes his 2nd Nexus. Now, of course, he is not going to have any queens until that spawning pool finishes, and then for a little bit further than that even. And Rag is getting reasonably good scouting information. He knows there isn't a queen there. He knows that there are no Zerglings yet out, because otherwise that pylon would be dying to either Zerglings or to the queen at the natural. So Rag must be feeling a little bit like wonkied out at this point, because Geo is really going for something strange. However, at the same time, he does not have that much he can do to react to it, because he walled himself in completely, and he is just now starting his 1st Zealot. I mean, his Cybernetics core isn't even close to finishing yet. And that actually puts Rag in a reasonably awkward position, because he's going to need to put on some early pressure to deal with the fact that Geo really did not build anything until like right now, when he's finally going to start getting his queens out. I'm lagging a little bit, which is strange and kind of disconcerting because I have to stream tonight, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Right, computer? Yeah, computer, you got this. I believe in you. I trust the heart of the computer. You're a good computer. Don't fail me, or I will destroy you. I just want you to know that. Alright, well, after that nice tender loving moment with my computer, which you guys probably didn't have to see, I mean, it got a little bit awkward, we kissed a little bit there. We do have 2 Stargates actually coming out from Rag. Interesting strategy. I mean, it can work, but again, it's 2 Stargates coming up against a 3-base Zerg after you did absolutely nothing to prevent him from doing anything. He will have his lair about to finish up by the time stuff starts pumping out of those Stargates. I mean, there's going to be like a Void Ray on its way across the map before the lair is up. If he starts the lair when he should start the lair, which is right now, he should start the lair. He should start the lair like as soon as possible. And there the lair does get started finally. We do have a lot more evolution chambers going down now. We have 2 evolution chambers on the way, along with extractors starting to populate a lot of the geysers of our Zerg player. And it looks like we're just gonna see him go even heavier into droning. He has not actually produced a combat unit yet. That pylon that was just being annoying is finally killed off. Geo actually has an extreme amount of macro that's ready to go now. I mean, like, he has a crap ton of hatcheries down, and they are all getting larva injected quite nicely. And so he's going to be able to expand very, very fast. Now, of course, these Void Rays are going to start heading across the map at this point. I don't know where they're actually going to go. Actually, maybe he's pulling them up. That's an awful decision, Rag. This is not the best decision, because we have +1 missile attacks on the way for Geo. And that just makes this kind of awkward and strange, because, you know, +1 missile attacks typically means a Hydralisk Den is coming down, and there the Hydralisk Den starts coming up. And honestly, if Rag does not attack and deals significant damage, like kill off the 3rd base and a couple of queens, he's going to be in a nasty scenario in like 10 seconds. Yeah, he's already kind of missed his window of opportunity. Hydralisks will be able to pop out at an alarming rate quite soon, just because of how eco-focused Geo has been this entire game. Now, of course, Boisterous Vestige is kind of an awkward map to take a 4th with, or to take a 4th on as a Zerg player. It's pretty easy to capture this one, but there's also a lot of different attack routes that lead into all of your different bases, so you can get multi-pronged attack from like almost any angle. You can have like run-bys into your 3rd happening from there, or even from here. You can have your natural attack from here or from here, and really they can run by into the main if they want to, or they can just utilize the massive drop space that is available in the main base to take you down. And oh my god, do we have carriers on the way. Oh my god, Rag is going for carriers. Warp Gate is finally finished, but I don't know why he waited so long to get that Warp Gate down. But carriers are finally on the way now. Of course, these rocks are just about to finish. Grooved spines are also just about to finish. I'm not sure. I think that was his first upgrade for the Mutalisk. I don't think... Oh, no. Okay, yeah, that was. Muscular augments will be on quite shortly, so he can't really attack with these Hydralisks until those muscular augments are finished. But he's going to have +2/+1 for them, or +1/+2, which is going to be very nice when it comes to fighting off carriers, because carriers are really... it's really nice to have armor against carriers, just in general, because carriers have a lot of attacks. Like, I mean, that's all the interceptors really do. They're like 8 different sources of, I think, 2 attacks each that deal 4 damage. So you're taking off like 32 damage of volley by having that upgrade. And that's actually a really, really efficient thing to be doing, because carriers probably attack more than Zerglings. Like, if you have equal strength carriers to Zerglings and like they could hit each other, carriers are probably attacking more often than Zerglings are, just because each carrier is 8 interceptors that fire twice. And you know, you kind of want to stop that. You want that to not be happening. And it looks like we are going to have the Hydralisks and now starting to move in, but the army from Rag is really not strong enough to deal with a Hydralisk force at this point. So these Hydras will be able to move in and probably snipe off this 3rd base. I mean, Rag is going to need to react to this, but he doesn't really want to react until he has another carrier, or at least full interceptors on these carriers. And oh god, he should probably be making interceptors. Interceptors are pretty good, and there we finally have him setting on auto create for interceptors, which makes them more useful, but, you know, it's still Hydralisks, and Hydralisks do an alarming amount of damage to any sort of air unit. But oh my god, these Hydralisks are kind of just getting torn apart by the carrier army. There really is not yet enough of them. However, Geo is going to be massing up Hydralisks as fast as possible. This Zergling run-by is going to absolutely annihilate the production from Rag. I mean, he's already down a base, and he's about to be down 2 bases, because these Zerglings could really just snipe off this hatchery, or this Nexus. There's not a whole lot that Rag can do to defend this. He really does not have the amount of units required to stop it. So there the Nexus goes down, and I have to say, Geo kind of just stomped Rag this game. Primarily because Rag went for the weirdest build I've ever seen. Forge Fast Expand into Mass Carrier is strange, to say the least. It just does not work well. And, you know, with this massive amount of Zerglings already out, and with his main Nexus down, it's going to be very awkward for him to try to step back into this game. Now, of course, he's going to be giving it his best shot. He does still have 3 carriers, but this is a lot of Hydralisks. This is more Hydralisks that were actually in the last army, and he's cranking out more and more. +2 attacks is going to be done for the carriers, and +2 attacks is, of course, very, very useful, but at the same time, +2 armor is going to finish off for Rag, so they're basically going to cancel each other out, just like they did in that last fight. So Geo is still going to be in a very reasonable position when it comes to fighting this thing, because there's only going to be 1 extra carrier, as there was, or 2 extra carriers as there was in that last engagement. He already lost his giant Void Ray buffer, and here we have the engagement starting to happen. Now, of course, the Hydralisks are not quite getting their snipes off correctly, but they are managing to kill off basically every interceptor. And 2 of these carriers are already useless. Make that 3 of these carriers being useless. Make that all of these carriers actually being useless. And, you know, you take a lot of damage to interceptors when you're trying to send them out against a Hydralisk army, because Hydralisks have very high DPS, and interceptors don't have a whole ton of armor at all. Like, not at all. I mean, it's kind of sad. You really need a lot more carriers to be able to take down an army like this, because you need those interceptors to just have crazy numbers compared to your opponent's army. And Rag he does not have that. And it looks like Geo is just going to be able to move into his opponent's base. He is going to be sniping off the natural at this point. Oh my god! That was so many probes going down at the exact same time. There, the Nexus does finally die. Rag is going to try his best. I mean, he does have a lot of interceptors in 5 different carriers, but 5 carriers without a buffer army, kind of useless, especially when you're just sending out interceptors like that. He will have to pull back. Really, if all of these had max interceptors, he would actually be able to do something to this army, but they don't, and they're not going to be able to get them because they actually cost too much for you to be able to produce enough of them to actually get them out onto the fields, because they cost a lot and you don't really have any mineral income anymore. And this is just way too many Hydralisks. They will soon be sniping off the pylon and the fleet beacon and all the stargates, and that's basically the last of the tech for Rag. I mean, he already does not have a cybernetics core or any gateways, and this is kind of going to just be game over for Rag, because there's not a whole lot he can do here. I mean, there's going to be these interceptors doing a little bit of damage, but honestly, there's just way too many Hydralisks. And Geo putting down the reverse tongue in chat. It's a little BF, but it's also pretty standard. And it looks like Rag is going to be doing his best to try to take out the reinforcements now, which I would say would be a reasonable strategy, except for the fact that there's way too many Hydralisks in his main base, and they're just going to snipe off all of his buildings because he only has 6 left. And Rag actually does not have any probes anywhere else on the map to make new buildings. So, yeah, we're probably just going to see a victory by elimination for Geo here, because there's going to be 1 pylon left after this. And that pylon is already dying quite quickly. So yeah, there we go. Rag was defeated and Geo was victorious. And wow, that was a bad strategy by Rag. I'm not sure actually how much more I can go into that, because that was just a bad strategy. So anyway, guys, if you want more Boisterous action, be sure to subscribe to me over at youtube.com/boisteroussc2. Also, if you would like your games commentated, and I would love to commentate them, and I'm running low on games, so be sure to send them in. Head on over to, or send them on into boisteroussc2@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to check me out commentating the URTL Tuesdays at 7 and 9 p.m. and Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. over at twitch.tv/urgaming. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in for this video, and this is Boisterous, signing out.